Lead the Way, a podcast for school leaders with author, speaker, and educator, Dr. Bill Ziegler.
Welcome to Lead the Way, a podcast for ed leaders by ed leaders in 5 minutes or less. Today, I am thrilled to have Dr. Marcus Belin, a real hero in education, with us today. Dr. Belin is the principal of Huntley High School in Huntley, Illinois. He's also the incoming president of the Illinois Principals Association. Dr. Belin, so great to have you on the program today.
As always, Bill, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Belin, I love the work that you do with your podcast and just the work you're doing across the state of Illinois. But especially, you started something new. It's called the Unapologetic Leadership Podcast. Tell us a little bit about that and why you named it that.
So Unapologetic Leadership focuses on a reflection of the work that we do as school leaders and challenging ourselves to grow through and with our experiences. And how I came up with the name, someone had asked me a question. I was sitting on a panel and they said, hey, Dr. Belin, if you can go back and change one thing about your time in school leadership, what would you change? And I actually wouldn't change anything. The mistakes and the challenges that I have faced have helped me to learn a little bit more about myself, but also to experiences that have helped me stabilize my core as a school leader and the foundation that I can continue to grow from. So that's kind of where the name came from.
Yeah, I really like that because, I think one of the things as educational leaders, especially as principals, we like to sometimes forget about our mistakes or look beyond them. Mm-hmm. But I think what you're talking about is really using those mistakes to grow and develop stronger. And to, that's who makes us into who we are today, sort of. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And I mean, being unapologetic is a mindset that, when you hear unapologetic, people look negatively upon it because they think that you're just completely blowing past or being, relentless in the work of like not apologizing for the things that you've done wrong. But it allows you to really dig deep into what you are doing and the decisions that you're making them and knowing that you did it for the best. And while not the best outcome, it is, again, an experience that helped you grow.
Yeah, I think you bring up something really important, and that's, making decisions on what's best for kids. Mm-hmm. As you're talking to principals throughout the country right now, what's one word of advice you might give to principals on, making that decision based on what's best for kids? We talk about it a lot, but a lot of times we make decisions based on what's best for the adults in the building, not the kids in the building. So what's a word of advice you'd give to encourage principals to be steadfast in making that decision based on what's best for kids?
So I would say that making the best decision for kids and being unapologetic and relentless in this work is just allowing yourself to unleash your creativity. If you're relentless in the journey and you are unapologetic about the decisions that you make and knowing that you'll correct them if they're mistakes, but it allows you to just really gain that trust within yourself and to be confident in the work that you do. And I think having that mindset will allow that creativity to come out, and that ultimately will be the best for kids.
Yeah, I really like how you talk about unleash that creativity. I think as school leaders, sometimes we aren't as creative as we need to be. And I think to solve the complex problems that are in schools today, we need to really get creative. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And sometimes creativity and thinking of things differently and trying things, within the first shot, you may not get it, but at least the fact that you tried it, you'd be surprised at what that will lend itself to and how kids will gravitate towards it, but also to your staff, right? If your staff sees you being creative and being focused on unleashing that creativity, they may do the same within their classroom. And now you've created a movement and a culture within your building that creativity is a framework and is a foundational brick in which your school can grow from.
Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing, Marcus. You're doing great work. If someone wants to learn more about you or listen to your podcast, how do they go about that?
Well, they can on Apple and Spotify, as well as they can head to my website, drmarcusbelin.com, that houses all of the podcasts. They can subscribe there and get connected to the work.
Well, Marcus, thank you so much for being on Lead the Way today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bill, for having me.
You've been listening to Dr. Bill Ziegler with Lead the Way. Bill has great resources for school leaders at chaselearning.org. That's chaselearning.org. Thanks for listening to Lead the Way with Dr. Bill Ziegler.